morning, dear viewers. This is a beautiful Thursday morning, and this is a newspaper review on Tab TV. My name is Sophia John, and you all know what the newspaper review is about. It's a show where we bring you various newspaper headlines on our various Nigerian headlines. I won't be doing this alone because with me in the studio, I have two very gorgeous ladies. Ladies, hi Georgina, how are you doing?
I'm good. And you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you for joining us on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. You're most welcome. Hi Kosi, how are you doing?
I'm fine. I'm good. I'm glowing.
Wow, you're really glowing. You're really glowing.
Yes, I'm glowing. Thank God.
Thank you for joining us on the show today.
Yeah, most welcome. Thank you so much.
All right, the ladies in the house today are here ready to discuss the newspaper headlines on every newspaper today. All right, we'll be kickstarting today with the headlines on the Guardian newspaper. The headline on page 6 says, "Tough times for students, parents as schools hike fees by 200%. Oh, that's really sad. That's one of the news stories we don't need, that Nigerian does not need right now. That story.
Exactly.
Because our educational sector is a very important sector in this country. The sector that contributes immensely to our economy. Our youths, they need education. At whatever level, they need to be educated. They need to be educated to be able to contribute resources to our general society. So this is a news story we don't need to see, because we fear if our education, our federal universities and our state universities are expensive, what would the poor masses do? So this is a news story we don't need to see right now. On the front page of the Guardian newspaper, we can see the cover page rather. We can see the hike. It shows us a pictorial view of the hike. You can see an average tuition in federal universities increase from 20K to 80K. Then an average tuition in state university, an increase from 30K to 150K. Then we also have an average accommodation fee, even accommodations too in these universities. We can see an increase from 20K to 60,000. Wow, this is so sad. As I said earlier, this is one news we do not need to see. Moving over, on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper, we also have a story about the federal government. Tinubu writes rep for 500 billion naira to cushion subsidy removal impact. We'll find this on page 6 of the newspaper. And on page 8, Vandal steals second Niger bridge fittings. Vandal steals second Niger bridge fittings. That's on page 8 of the newspaper. And on page 3, amid $1 billion legacy debts, Nigeria pushes for $12 billion revenue, 10 gas feeds. You find the details of that on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper. And our last headline for the Guardian, Ladoja takes Makinde, Olubade, 10 others to court over Ibadan chieftaincy law review. That's all for the Guardian newspaper. So, Kosi, I would like you to share your thoughts on this story on the Guardian, page 6, written so boldly on the Guardian newspaper. Tough times for students, parents, as school hikes fees by 200%.
Well, my opinion, my view on it is that at this tough time that Nigerians are passing through, I feel hiking the federal school fees is really uncalled for.
Yes.
Firstly, and secondly, if we should break it down, you see that once, after the whole palliative, the first subsidy removal, that Nigeria became like we start feeling the effects and the effect of this first subsidy and all that. So it became so hard for Nigerians, even for average Nigerians, to even eat for like the normal 3 times in a day. So in this removal, or in this increasement of school fees, I feel that they shouldn't have done it, one. Because I remember that then when I was in school, we paid as low as 20,000
Yes.
as tuition. Like, they didn't call it tuition, but it's as school
For
fees.
school fees,
You
we paid
understand?
as low
We
as
paid
20.
as low of as 20K. Then now increasing it to 50 something, 70 something. And they're not even increasing the salary. Even the minimum wage is still 30,000. You understand? So, okay, as an average person, as an average student, imagine people that are paying for themselves, that are training
Yes.
themselves in the university. You pay, okay, my sister was telling me the other day that they've increased their school fees from 25, because I remember paying my sister's school fee 26,000 then. Now it's 52,000. So now they've increased it. What have the government done to cushion the effect, at least to generate for Nigerians parents to be able to generate more revenue, more salary?
Because as an average student, you have
A lot of things to pay.
We are not even talking
We're
about
not even talking about the
textbook,
textbook, even
the
the accommodation. Because I remember then in school, we were paying 150,000 as accommodation, and now it has increased to 200,000. Then with the increment of in school fees, which is 52,000. Just imagine in a session you're paying 52,000. Okay, per year. So in a year, imagine spending over 200, 300,000 in just school fees and accommodation. Then we don't even talk about the feeding and all that. So you see that the thing is too much, especially on the parents and on the students that are training themselves. To me, I feel this hiking in school fees will increase high rate of armed robbery that has been on the high rate, but it will still increase it. And also it will push a lot of students to start indulging in illegal means just for them to make ends meet.
Push a lot of people out of school too.
Exactly.
Because those that can't afford this, most people can't even afford it the way it is now.
Just imagine now they've increased it. Just imagine in the University of Maiduguri, where they even beg the masses to come to school. Now they've increased the school fees. They have a solid excuse for them not to come to attend. And thereby making not just unemployment rate, but also breeding future criminals. Because they said, there's some popular saying that said, an idle man is a devil's workshop. Imagine being in school and you're going through the school work and all that. You won't have time to start thinking about anything else apart from school. You understand? Yes, they say education is the key, but what have they done? Are the government trying to bring us out of the school, or are they trying to help us? So my question here is, if the government want to help Nigerians, they should leave the school fees as it is. You understand? Because a lot of people are suffering. Yeah, let's bring the student loan bill. Imagine you're borrowing, they say it's over, you can borrow up to 500,000. Imagine not be able to pay it. Because you can't tell me which job will you be able to start up with that 500,000.
That of unemployment in our society.
Not just unemployment, with this high rates in school fees and all that, the increment in school fees. How will you be able to, with that money, how will you be able to cater for yourself, cater for your feeding, accommodation with that money? And remember, once you finish, this one is from, if you're not able to pay back, you are going to 2 years imprisonment. So I still feel that this is not the right thing to do. How can they remove, they brought in student loan bill, then increase school fees, which is wrong. It's like beating a baby and expecting the baby not to cry. So I feel that the government, they should still leave it as it is. You understand? A lot of people are suffering. This will lead to a lot of people leaving school. So that's my honest opinion on it.
Thank you very much, Kosi, for that one. All right, I would like to move over to you, Georgina. You will share your thoughts on the headline, tough times for students, parents, as school hike fees by 200%, federal universities. I'd like to hear your thoughts on that.
Thank you very much. And honestly speaking, 200% increase hike in school fees, that's outrageous. I mean, why with the federal government, Nigerians has already gone through the pains of fuel subsidy removal. Why do we still have to go through another era of pain? I mean, I can remember how difficult it was for me and my parents to put me through school. That was in the absence of the hike, I beg your pardon. Now, imagine now the hike is being increased. the school fees is being increased and parents are supposed to, with, she already said, the other speaker, Coco, already said it, how much is the basic salary? 30,000 naira. How are we supposed to cope? I don't even want to go into the details of the student loan because that on its own already has its irregularities, okay? So let's not even talk about that. But then, this goes against what the president, the current administration, the current president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria promised Nigerians, right? He said he's going to make things better. Things are not getting better. It's actually getting worse. It isn't getting better in any way. And unless, of course, they are not ready to take education serious. Education is the key to development, it is said. So if this school fees is hiked, definitely we are going to experience an all-round socioeconomic and political disadvantages. In every sector, it will be affected.
Exactly.
It will be affected, and most especially the young ones, especially the youth, right? We are said to be the future. Now imagine we do not get equipped. Education equips you in every way. So we are supposed to equip these youths to compete globally. So in the absence of, in the presence of increasing hype, this is what it does. It pulls us from school, it affects every psychological, emotional, perspective. But then beyond the perspective that it affects, what I want to tell the National Assembly is this. They are responsible for preparing the annual national budget, right? So in preparing the annual national budget, please, the National Assembly, can we look into investing more into the educational sector? This is one sector that we should not mess around with. We can't toss around with it. Education covers, it's more like a superstructure for me that covers every other subsector, right? Because once you have the knowledge, you can redeploy it into other sectors. Because when you don't have knowledge, trust me, there's nothing more you can do about it.
Exactly. I still don't understand what the National Assembly, if they are preparing this bill, what they have in mind. Like, I don't understand. Is it that they don't even, these people, they are just like, they were once like us, you understand?
Thank you.
They grew. You understand? And it was that education that led them to that level.
To that
you understand?
position.
Education, is
Education
like bringing you from darkness to the light. You understand? So not paying much attention on this educational sector. I feel they're not doing much. I hope you agree with me. I feel they're not doing much at all.
And another question I want to ask is, why is the state government increasing school fees? They have other sources of revenue. And in fact, when it comes to the state university, they charge high.
Our agriculture, what is it doing? Like, I don't understand. They have a whole lot of... they've removed the fuel subsidy. Exactly, fuel subsidy. Then what next? If they remove fuel subsidy, why not use that money to generate, do whatever? Why touching the little ones you are managing? And
another question, another thing is, apart from these other sources of revenue, they receive annual allocation from the federal government. That is the states. They have a statutory allocation they receive.
My question also is, these National Assembly people, these reps and the senates, these people, they are every year, now I heard they are demanding for increase in their
salaries.
Yeah. Imagine, why would they touch that? Imagine being one person earning 3 million.
It's very funny.
Why the minimum wage
is 30,000?
And that's why the former president of Nigeria, President Olusegun Obasanjo, was questioning this idea of the package that National Assembly members receive. I mean, we are saying that all Nigerians want to go through the pains. And it feels like it's like we have selected people who are to go through this pain.
We are the ones, because this government actually favors the bourgeoisie. The poor masses, they're even undermined, which is wrong. You understand? So I just feel that this whole thing, we are the ones going through the pain. Tinubu is telling us, our president Tinubu is telling us that we should patient.
We need to
a patient dog is the fattest meat. But here we are getting lean every day.
All right,
every day. There's nothing more that you can do. So there's nothing more to say. Obviously, the federal government, the leadership. I mean, the president Buhari. Sorry, I beg your pardon. President Tinubu, as you have promised Nigerians, right? Please live up to your promise. We cannot continue going through this kind of suffering.
To when?
Everyone.
You didn't even give us a mandate. When? To when are we going to start?
Everybody, if we are to suffer, everybody should be a part of the suffering.
Exactly.
The payment, the salaries and the packages that the Senate and the House of Representative members received, it should be rechecked. If we want to generate, look for other sources of revenue. Let us deduct what they are receiving so that we can pour it into the economy. That way we can help develop and build the infrastructures that need to be built. So that goodness, I want to talk about Yahoo. Now you see, the reason why most of us, like they said, Nigerians want to jackpot. They are jackpotting. Why are we
Yes.
jackpine? Because if, honestly speaking,
For
if
better
you find what you're looking for here, if all of the infrastructures
You'll be
and all of the things you
comfortable
need,
here.
why would you need to go to another man's land?
To make it.
And
Why?
we also had an era where a period where doctors were jackpine as well.
They were leaving. They even had to set a
2022.
bill to stop them.
2021.
That's the health sector, right?
Like,
And which is
exactly.
extremely important. There are some sectors you don't joke with, but we're not talking
Exactly.
about health today. We're talking about education, which is the key, because the health sector also requires education
And
for
if
it
you
to
can
flourish.
remember, even
So-
during the time of Obasanjo, he made sure that education was free and it's accessible to every Nigerians. They say every Nigerian has the right to basic education, and it was free. But now look at it. I don't know where our country is going to.
Honestly,
we are saying that Nigerians
the
need
education
to exactly the
is
Nigerians.
suffering.
We are saying that Nigeria will be better. Nigeria will be better.
Our
It's as if it's
educational
getting worse.
system is dying. It is so unfortunate that it's actually dying. So we all need to put our hands on deck. Sometimes when we blame the president or the leadership, we may also have our own parts to play. However, because the president is at the helm of affairs, he makes the political decisions that affect other sectors of the economy. We are asking, we are appealing that you do more in investing in education, because it's literally the future. That's my take.
Thank you very much for that, Warren. Thank you, Georgina, and thank you, Kosi. Our educational system needs improvement. It needs to be handled with serious care and caution. We move over to our next news headline. We'll be looking at the leadership. The leadership will be our next headline we'll be looking at. The leadership is leading with a story. APC did not fund presidential campaign. That's according to the vice chairman of the APC. You find this on page 7 of the leadership newspaper. Subsidy remover, be patient, palliative will come, Tinubu tells Nigerians. I think I need to read that part again. Subsidy remover, be patient, palliative will come, Tinubu tells Nigerians. That's on page 4 of the leadership newspaper. If you want more details, check page 4 of the leadership newspaper. I have a lot to say about this palliative because we all know what happened during our COVID-19 palliative. We all know what happened to our palliative then. Okay. Okay, let me just move on. Let me just move on to this topic. All right. On page 8 of the leadership newspaper, jihadis from Niger, Mali, Libya imposing tax on Sokoto farmers. Details on page 8 of the newspaper. Newly commissioned second Niger bridge vandalized. Wow. On page 8 of the leadership newspaper, Army chief rules out amnesty for bandits and terrorists. Army chief rules out amnesty for bandits and terrorists. That's on page 8 of the leadership newspaper. You can find the details. You can go to any newspaper stand, pick up the leadership, and read up this newspaper. But we need to digest this story. The story on page 4 of the leadership, subsidy remover, be patient, palliative will come, Tinubu tells Nigerians. Georgina, I would like you to share your thoughts on this. We have been hearing a lot about palliative for COVID-19. We know what happened, what we saw and what we did not see during the COVID-19, the videos that were flying around social media. We know what this government have been doing to us a lot, the lies they have been telling us.
So, well, for me, now the president himself has said, he was the one who said that, right? Like, Nigerians, be patient. Let us be patient. And I love being patient. There's nothing wrong with patient dogs.
And we have been hearing
It's the fattest bone, right? But the problem I have with Nigerians, with Nigerian leadership rather, is implementation. It's one thing for us to say something and it's another thing for us to actually do it. And that's the major problem we have had with our leadership in Nigeria over the years. And it's just like, because I believe that if we have good policies, so whenever someone is saying, let's introduce another 500 billion initiative policy that will help to, say, improve, let's say maybe improve education, or let's say maybe create more job opportunities, or we have good policies. I don't think our problem is creating more of them. We already have them. Now, if in fact we were actually implementing those policies as it is, trust me, Nigeria would be on the map of advanced countries by now. We will not be struggling with, we are still being called developing country. We are still a developing country. We are still in the third world category, which is so unfortunate. We should be there, given the kind of resources that we have in this country. We should not be,
We are so blessed.
we shouldn't
We're
be,
so blessed with a lot of
questioning that,
resources.
right? So now the president is telling us that we should be patient. We have been patient. The subsidy removal has already taught us so much lessons. We have gone through the pains. We are done being patient. Now, the problem now is, he said that there is the Supplementary Appropriation Act. We are supposed to amend it. The House of Representative members are there to amend it, right? And generate 500 billion Nigerian naira, which will be rechanneled into palliatives. But our problem now is, will that palliatives in fact get to the Nigerians that actually need them?
Exactly.
Exactly. That's the question to ask.
Will it get to us? So our problem is not just coming out to say, yes, make sure that the palliatives are there, let's get it done. Okay, fine, we know. It's a good, in fact, that is a good strategy, it's a good policy, it's a good statement in the right direction. Since he said he wants to fight democratic tendencies and principles during the administration, this is actually a good one. But our problem now is not just stating it, it's in fact making sure that vast majority of Nigerians get access to this palliative, because that is the most important thing. Now that we're having issue of, what's it called, school fees hike, right? So there are so many of them. There are so many of them. So I don't. This policy is a good step in the right direction. I applaud you, Mr. President. However, what measures have we put in place to ensure that these palliatives in fact gets worse? Because we have experienced what happened during the COVID-19, right? We know what went wrong. Many Nigerians who actually needed these palliatives did not get them. That is my problem. We don't get them. It doesn't get to us. So, Mr. President, what have you done? What have you done to make sure that this 500 billion will in fact get, this 500 billion naira will in fact get to the most deserving Nigerians? So that's my take on that, really.
All right. Ms. Kosi, you would like to share your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I would like to add to some things he said. However, Virginia is talking about them implementing it. That's her own major problem. But my own major problem here is the fact that they wanted to disburse this money to the poor masses. I feel even if they should do it, they're just like giving us fish instead of teaching us how to fish.
Okay.
You understand? You can't just give a hungry man money and expect the person to use it for something without using it for his own stomach first. Nigerians, we are in this period of time whereby we are hungry.
We are hungry.
We are hungry. That is the perfect thing to say there. That you can't just tell us you want to give us the money. If we should get the money, how many days will this something last? I feel that instead of using it and disbursing the money to the poor masses or to the masses, if actually to get them, I feel that the right thing to do is for them to set up some establishments, set up some offices whereby they will be training people for free. Because no, since the white-collar job is not really favoring everybody and it's based on connection, as you know, it's Nigerian. But I feel they should set up, each state should have their own big establishment where people can go, acquire skills.
Soft skills.
You understand? Acquire skills. That's why I like all these civilized countries. Once you start growing up, once you're on holiday, they will take you to different places, gymnastics, to learn piano, to learn this one, so that even without being dependent on the government or waiting for the government to give you a job, you've already gotten that skill which you need to help yourself and help your family. You understand? Just imagine if they should use this money, disburse it to the whole state governors. Let them use it to build a particular distance. Then set up a committee that will investigate
and the
this
world
thing.
we live in presently is aging towards technological
distance. Exactly. Then they should set it up, especially this technological part. Yes, I remember when I learned programming, I paid 250,000 to learn it. Just imagine making it available for the poor masses. You understand? There are a lot of Nigerians. We are genius.
Yes.
We are genius. We just don't have the right equipment
talented.
and resources. We don't have the access to all these right equipment for us to develop more on ourselves. You understand? So I feel if they should focus more on helping people, you see, the problem of insecurity will be curbed. The problem of all these illegal activities will be curbed. Because, once you learn it, then use the money. Once you learn, then the state government, this should provide make a revenue that will help those people that are already skilled and inclined. This should help them, give them some money to start up their own business. Thereby, we are patronizing our own people. You understand? We have a lot of things. That's why you hear the issue of brain draining. You see that once they go outside there, you start discovering yourself.
You start discovering
Help
yourself.
them to discover themselves.
Right.
Do you know the first thing that a Nigerian that someone can do for you is to help you discover yourself. Discover what you have passion for. A lot of passion are being wasted without even getting actualized, even before the person reached the time for it. You understand? You see somebody, this person is good in all this clothes sewing and all that. Then this should enter to that sector. If that's what you have passion for. If you're good, like me, I'm good at all this programming. I just love it. I love coding. Then this should make it available for people to be able to access it. Then this should follow it up.
This still brings us back to the point of education, investment. You know, education can be vocational and non-vocational. So still brings us back.
So you see that if the government should invest more on this education part, that Nigeria will be a better place.
It will be. Definitely.
Really will. We have so much resources that we can put in to make our economy greater.
Exactly.
And greater. We just need proper policy implementations. All right, we take a short commercial break, and when we come back, we'll be looking at our last newspaper headline for the day. Stay with us.
Hey there! Are you looking to record your videos, do your voiceovers, and take your professional pictures? Look no further. With our state-of-the-art newsroom, photography, kitchen for our food content creators, and exclusive children's studio, we certainly can deliver the best studio experience. Our carefully designed studio space can bring your diverse creative content ideas to life. We aim to consistently serve value to our customers far and wide. Come, let Tharv Media give life to your dreams. Tharv Media, a slice of infotainment.
Welcome back. Still on the newspaper review on TAF TV, we'll be looking at our last newspaper for today, and that's the Nigerian Tribune. The Nigerian Tribune is leading with a story on petrol subsidy. After removal of petrol subsidy, Tinubu seeks 500 billion naira for palliative. You can find it on page 2 of the Nigerian Tribune. Dangote is still Africa's richest man with $14.2 billion net worth. That's according to Forbes. Wow, this is really a welcome development for we to have one of ours still on the top of the food chain in Africa. It's really a welcome development.
It's amazing.
It's an amazing news. On page 16 of the newspaper, lighting strike kills 3 suspected kidnappers in Kwara. Wow, that's an extraordinary one. Our last story for today, our last news headline on the Tribune is Ladoja takes Makinde Olubade elevated chiefs to court. That's also on page 2 of the Nigerian Tribune. So, Miss Kosi, I would like you to share your thoughts on this story. The story on page 16 of the newspaper, lighting strike kills 3 suspected kidnappers in Kwara.
Seriously, it's quite a sad and hilarious one too, because according to the report, it tells you that this vigilante actually used some local charm to perform, like once you do anything that is wrong, like once you steal and all that, you'll be struck with lightning. So my question now should be, is it not better we go back to some of our traditional things we normally do then, before the coming of Christianity and all that? After all, practicing traditional practices is not really a bad thing. It's when people start using it for the bad purpose. You understand? Yes. I'm not against Christianity. I'm a Christian. You understand? But I still remember during those times, I still remember the story my grandma normally tell me and all that. So you see that those things, you see the high rate of criminal and the high rate of kidnapping and all that, it wasn't there it wasn't as rampant as it is now, you understand? So my question should be, I feel that the government should look into it. If they should adopt some of the traditional practices then and use it for the betterment of Nigeria, and also use it to curb insecurity in Nigeria. And still, this insecurity, it still boils down to the government having a well-centralized system, a well-organized system, a government that cares for the welfare and benefit of its citizens. If Nigeria is like that, I don't think all this issue of kidnapping, killing and all that, many has lost their lives just because of all this, because of insecurity.
Yes, insecurity.
Imagine a country without a secured system, without that doesn't even give assurance to the lives of its citizens. You see, people will be living in fear in it, and most Nigerians, we are living in fear because you see, you can't come out in the night openly, just be selling something and all that without fearing that something might happen. You understand? So I feel the government should also look into the insecurity in Nigeria, and even though that's their primary agenda, but they are just saying it. They don't even implement what they said, you understand? Still, even after their tenure, they still leave it untackled. So Nigerian insecurity has become a very major problem to Nigerians. So I'm encouraging our government to at least look into it and take a very fast decision, because we Nigerians, we are living in fear. So that's my own honest opinion on it.
All right, Georgina, you'd like to give us your thoughts on the story on page 16, lightning strike, kills 3 suspected kidnappers in Kwara.
Okay, just like Ms. Kosi has already said, it's quite unfortunate, but at the same time, it's very comical. It's extremely funny. Very, very, very funny. But, you know, it's not a new thing in Nigeria that the issue of insecurity is not the new challenge, right? It has been there for a long time. And so it's no wonder that whenever any administration comes to power, they make sure to include in their major point of agenda insecurity, right? So, but then, despite the fact that they include that in one of their agendas, and still yet, after the administrations, Nigerians are still left to battle with the issue of insecurity. So it's funny that finally we had the issue of lightning strike, you know, in Kwara State, and some vigilantes had to do one or two things traditionally, diabolical methods, and they were able to salvage the situations, right? They were able to strike some kidnappers, which is something the modern technology, right, have been struggling to look into for quite some time. And I mean, a lightning in one day, I mean, I believe that happened in probably a few seconds or so, right? We're able to capture the kidnappers. And then another question to put forward out there is the kidnappers. I mean, why do these Nigerians, people go into kidnapping? And I remember earlier we were talking about, lack of investment in education, which, generates all manner of negative socioeconomic impacts on the economy, which of course affects some of the youths who end up indulging in those kinds of, incriminating activities. So poverty could lead to that. Unemployment could also lead to that, and, lack of investment in the educational sector, which leaves these youths idle. An idle man is a devil's workshop. Once you're idle, definitely you look for one or two ways to, keep that idleness. And so this goes to the NSA, National State Security also, that we understand. We know that you're trying your best. We know that you're doing so much to cube the insecurity. However, we want you to do more. How about perhaps looking into the past, going to the past and looking at some of these methods, the traditional methods that were used to fight injustice, and merge it with the modern technological system so that we could cube insecurity in our country? Because we all know, once there is absence of insecurity, when there is no security, that leads to instability. And once instability is present, definitely development is a concept that will never come to fruition. So that's my take on that.
All right, thank you very much for that one. Thank you also for joining me on the show, Georgina and Kosi. That's what we call it a wrap for today, where we draw our curtains. Remember to click on the like button just below this, on the comment section rather. Like, subscribe, and follow us. on all platforms. Follow us on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, and even on TikTok. Thank you for joining us.